Sometimes we have these political address, right? And sometimes in different parts of the world, in terms of political address in parliament, they get to a point where there's violence. There definitely is sometimes where the language gets completely obscene. In fact, one wonders why at some level they don't have a violence and language restriction. Okay? So those kind of things do apply. Okay? Yes, you decide you're avoiding the negativity, and yes, that will hopefully decrease at some level the stress. And I'm not just saying this. I've had patients and they'll say, I'm stressed out, I can't sleep at night. And I'll say, what do you do? Say, I watch television. Okay, what do you watch on television? I just love the crime channel. And this is like 3 to 4 hours of, crime. And it's not like someone stole my clothing off the washing line. It's real horrific murders, and what that must be doing to one's psyche. One wonders. So yes, at that level, cut it off. Yes, we all want to get information. We all want to feel we want to fit in. What's it? FOMO, fear of missing out. Recognize in this day and age, you are barraged with information. In fact, maybe 30 odd years ago, when you looked for information, 80% of it was knowledge and 20% was rubbish. In this day and age, it's 80% rubbish and 20% information, knowledge or wisdom. Why? Because everyone is competing for your mind. Everyone's competing for your attention. Cut it off. It'll make your life easy. In fact, it'll probably allow you to walk more freely. But as much as we cut out the negative information of the world, yes, but still keep in touch with what's relevant and important. You need to know, for example, if you're going through a pandemic as we are, when the regulations are, as to maybe if there's a curfew, as they call it, right? You don't want to say your psychiatrist said, I don't need to watch information, therefore it's okay if I go out at midnight, right? So yes, be aware of the necessity rather than the 80% which is non-essential. Beyond that though, or within that space, is what is necessary in terms of maybe community and family and friends. That's where the negativity really might even be more. Not that it's more so, but you generally will place more value, more importance, more energy, and you give power to those family and friends and community within your circle. And as much as you may determine, wait a minute, I need to draw boundaries, some people are in your life. You cannot avoid them, be it your immediate family and friends or your greater community which you interact with. And some people may say, I will isolate, I will not speak to anyone anymore. That's not necessarily the right way to do it unless that person's been completely abusive. You need to learn an element of resilience, because as much as you lock yourself in the room, the world will come in. As much as you endeavor to be reclusive, you will then struggle, because then you are going to have to deal with the most negative person, which is yourself. Because if you have to lock yourself in the room, you are saying the world is bad. But how is the world bad? The world is within you, in your mind. Now, you and I need to develop resilience with dealing with people, dealing with negativity. And let's take it a step further. As you said, do we employ like a 10-second rule before we reply? In the Bible, they say something I think is very beautiful. Be quick to listen, slow to talk and anger. If you and I can pause that millisecond, that second, that 10 seconds. There is even someone who wrote a book where she advocates counting down, because you're actually centering yourself, I assume. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You need to center yourself. You need to count down. You need to ground yourself in that moment so you do not react to that trigger. And it can be very challenging to learn. So you need to learn, rather than reacting to stress, triggers, problems, you and I need to respond to stress, triggers, and problems. Rather than being because of stress, triggers, and problems, you and I need to be living and being in spite of stress, triggers, and problems. Now, it's easier said than done, because many of us react nonetheless. And this is something then you and I need to do so we are prepared for when we are faced with a stress or trigger or a problem. You and I need to inculcate within ourselves a different way of being. Now recognize someone may come from the side and say something nasty. And they say something that really irks you. How do they do that? There's some point will press a button that's your vulnerable point. They will say something that is your Achilles heel. And then we are completely reacting, right? We become crazy in that moment, and then we may regret that later. What we need to do is shift to a point where we change who we are in that moment. So not just in that moment, for all of time. So you and I need to do this. We need to come from a space of being compassionate, kind, loving, and caring. So no matter what people say to us, we come from a space of compassion, kindness, caring, and love. And they can say the nastiest thing. And generally our nature is, I will come back with another nasty thing to you, or a nasty statement. The idea is, even if you say nothing, is come from a space of calm, compassion, kindness, and caring. And we need to inculcate that. So what you then do is you do not allow others to determine who you are. What you do is you determine the world. And you then take responsibility for yourself in that moment. Because a common reaction, you agree, is to get angry at someone. But what we're doing, they say if you get angry, they've done studies and they suggest that angry people are more than 300% more likely to have a heart attack than non-angry people. Okay? Now, you and I don't want to be a statistic. And why do we get angry? We don't like a situation, we don't like a circumstance, we don't like people and we therefore react. But do you just want to live your life in reaction and be angry to others? No. We need to come from a space where we take responsibility for ourselves and says, I will not allow myself to be a victim of person, people, situation, and circumstances. And thereby not allow ourselves to react and be angry. But in order to facilitate that, we need to come from a space of calm, compassion, kindness, and caring to anyone and everyone. As much as some people will really test you, and you walk away thinking, my God, as long as I feel the need to react, it's better than reacting as we generally do. So you learning to be in that moment rather than reacting to that moment. There's a saying by Maya Angelou. It's not what people do for you that matters, it's how they make you feel. And in that moment, you and I also need to inculcate how to feel, how to share. And I'm going to say this, make it a deliberate exercise on how to learn to shift. And how do you learn to shift? Because in this day and age, we are living in an absolute rat race. We are chasing. We start in the morning, we are going from one meeting to another, one Zoom call to another in this day and age of pandemic. We are on the go. Okay? For that split second, go back, calm yourself, come from the space of where you are being, compassion, kindness. And how do you then shift it? Is that simple exercises. When you meet people, greet them. How are you? How are you feeling? And not just on the surface, like how are you feeling? Be intentional about it. Be deliberate about it. And what you're doing is you're massaging that mind muscle to change. You are building that fire. You're firing that wiring in your brain and you're reinforcing it. So yes, someone might come and give you something from the side which you didn't expect. That muscle that is developing prevents the normal reaction. So you respond to that situation rather than reacting. And be considerate. And as much as you then, it sounds like it's tough to do, to change that muscle. It's probably sometimes the easiest muscle to practice. And it's the easiest to practice. Sometimes you and I, when we go to the bathroom and there's someone cleaning the bathroom, it's easiest to say to the person, hello, how are you? How are you feeling? As much as you walk down the corridor and someone's mopping the floor, ask them, how are you? How are you feeling? Ask them about their life. Make that connection. Because when you're making that connection, you're making it at an empathetic, compassionate, kindness level and love level. Because something else that forces us to react. Why do we react? because people trigger us. Why do we get triggered? Because we don't like to mention this and we don't like to state it out. All of us at various levels feel inadequate, incomplete, unsure, uncertain, not good enough, not worthy enough, and one very important one, not worthy of love. So what do we do with that? We go around looking for people to love, right? Beyond that, when someone says something, they trigger one of those, not good enough, not worthy enough, not beautiful enough, not handsome enough. They trigger that Achilles tendon, that soft spot, right? And what we do then? We react because they are making you vulnerable in that moment. And the only person that can make you feel fulfilled in that moment is yourself. And the 10 seconds, that pause before you react, is the fact that you center yourself and says, I am not what you make me out to be, or my perception of what I think you are making me out to be. I am complete. I am full in being. And therefore I can do, and we may say have.